This review may or may not be a little biased, because I know some people aren't the biggest fans of this movie, nostalgia critic, but it is a movie that has resonated with me for as long as I can remember, and as someone who very much relates to its title character, this one does have a personal connection, so if I get a little choked up in this review, or if I go really deep into it, please understand it's because of how much this movie means to me. Now, it's not one of my all-time favorite Disney movies of all time, no, but it is definitely one of the most relatable. And if you've seen it and you know me, you will understand why. But if you don't, I will do my best to try to summarize it as best I can without going into spoilers. So, without further ado or delay, let's dive into this one. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station, your number switch for anything animation, including TV and movies. I'm your host, Jackson Small. Welcome back to DisneyVember 2. Welcome to the final of the 4 reviews that I'm doing for today to catch up. That way I can do one a day from here on in. And that is Dumbo. This is not the one I had as a kid. I don't know what happened to the VHS tape I had as a kid, but I did have this one on VHS when I was a kid. And I watched it a lot, and I've always loved it. As a kid, it was actually my favorite Disney movie. But for whatever reason, over the years, I ended up losing that VHS tape, so I bought this one. Also because it's a Masterpiece Collection one, and I'm trying to get the majority of those ones. So, without further ado or delay, let's talk about it. So, let's start, before I even get into the written review, let me start with how this movie's so relatable to me. Well, for one, I relate a lot to Dumbo. He has an abnormality that gets him laughed and jeered at by many people, but he finds his inner strength and he learns how to fly. And, I'm gonna get a little bit personal here, but, yeah, someone with an abnormality himself, that is very relatable. And this is a movie that I did watch a lot as a kid, but it wasn't until when I was older I realized why I watched it so much as a kid. And it's because Dumbo is one of the most relatable characters in Disney. He has an abnormality. He's not like an ordinary elephant. He's a character who goes through trial and tribulation just because he's different, just because he has something that no one else has, just because he may or may not look a little weird to some people. But as someone who has an abnormality himself, a couple actually, maybe it was a movie that kind of just brought me comfort. I don't know. I can't really remember or recall why I watched this so much as a kid. I'm just more taking a guess because of its themes and because of the title character himself. Like, Dumbo is a very inspiring character because even after everything he goes through, he still tries to do the best of what he has with a smile on his face. And especially when he learns how to fly and he gets his buddy Timothy. Yeah, needless to say, it's inspiring to people with abnormalities or disabilities. And even now, it still hits pretty hard, especially nowadays as an adult that fully knows this movie's themes and its character. Okay, I got a little too deep there, I'm sorry. But, it's just someone I relate to a lot, and it's a movie that is very relatable. It is a true underdog story in every single way, shape, and form of the definition. And as someone that has abnormalities and disabilities, I relate to him a lot. And that's also why the 2019 remake pissed me off so bad. We'll talk about that in another DisneyVember, but my point is, this character is always going to have a very strong attachment with me, even if the overall movie doesn't. I'll do my best to explain why, but please keep that in mind before you start hounding me in the comments section by giving this such a super positive review. Okay? Okay. With that out of the way, and with my little personal rambling out of the way, let's talk about why this movie is actually great. I have a pretty decent written review for this one. It does a decent job detailing why I love this movie, but also my legit criticisms and problems with it. Because as an adult, you do start to notice that with some movies. Even some you love as a kid, you find more flaws in as you get older, as your mind develops, as you start to figure out your tastes in movies, or things that you didn't notice the first time around because you were either too young or you weren't paying attention. So, here's my review. I hope you enjoy, and I apologize for the personal ramble, but it's something I had to say. Yes, this one may have had the unfortunality of following up the masterpiece of Fantasia, which is probably why a lot of people don't like it. But this doesn't make it a bad film. Absolutely not. Matter of fact, this was actually my favorite Disney movie as a kid, and I rewatched that VHS tape so many times. And even now, it's one that resonates with me a lot. I already did a ramble explaining why. The animation's still great, the story is inspiring and very relatable, the music is great, the characters are wonderful. I'd argue Dumbo and Timothy are one of Disney's best duos ever. The final act is wild. The pink elephant scene is just as chaotic and nightmare fuel as ever. And of course, because I love dark stuff and as an adult, I find that scene amazing. The pacing is good, the rewatchability is still pretty high, and entertainment value is pretty high. Like, this is still a very entertaining, very enjoyable, very fun movie. That being said, though, this does have some flaws I can't ignore as an adult. The crows are, problematic stereotypes, to say the least. I mean, one of the crows is literally called Jim. If you know your history, you'll know why that has not aged well. The drunk scene, as funny as it does slam the pacing to a halt, and I will admit Dumbo being basically a toddler and drinking alcohol, that might also be a little problematic nowadays. And a few scenes are a bit too mean-spirited. Like, I get why most of it's mean-spirited. It's to drive the point home that Dumbo is an underdog in every single way, and he has to literally prove himself to these people and these other elephants that he can do as much, if not even more than them, despite his abnormality. But every now and then they go just a little bit too far with it. Like the whole clown scene, that felt like a little bit much. Overall, though, this is yet another great movie in Disney's history, and one of their most relatable for those who are much like its title character, aka me. Even with its flaws, it still finds a way to fly high and soar above a lot of its problems. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. So, with all that said, let's get to my final verdict for Dumbo, which it might be a little biased, it might be a little high, because some people think this movie's a bit more mid-tier, even though I do know it has its fans. But some people aren't the biggest fan of it, and I can't understand why. Some things about it have not aged well, but it's still a movie that resonates deeply with me. It's a childhood favorite that I'm going to keep watching probably as long as I live and pass down to my own kids whenever I do have kids. I don't know when that's going to happen, but point is, this is a movie that definitely needs to be passed down generation to generation, and especially if you're a parent of someone that has an abnormality or a disability, let them watch this movie. This is one that'll definitely inspire them, it will bring a smile to their face, and it'll give them a character that they can relate to and love, for showing them that they are just as capable as anybody else. Final verdict's an 8 out of 10. It's a great movie. It just has some little flaws that, as an adult, do hamper it down a little bit. But as someone who has disabilities and abnormalities, I will forever have a deep connection with this one. It may not be one of my all-time favorites anymore, but it is still a great film that I would put at least in my top 15. It is a fantastic film, and it's only gotten better every time I watch it. Even though, like I said, some things about it have not aged very well. So, yeah, if you have not watched Dumbo yet for whatever reason, check it out. It is definitely a Disney classic. And with that, that's my review of Dumbo, and that's probably my longest of these 4 reviews because of that little preamble I did at the beginning talking about how this connects with me so deeply. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my little personal story, and I hope you guys also have enjoyed this review. If you like more reviews like this, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss anything. And stay tuned, because this may be our last review for the day, but it doesn't mean that we're done with DisneyVember. We still have a long way to go. Like I said, we're going all the way up to Beauty and the Beast. So, with all that said, what is the next one? I need to double check. Ah, yes, I do have this one. Okay. I had to double check because I couldn't remember if I had this tape or not. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time when we talk about another beloved Disney classic that a lot of people love, and another one that also has one of the darkest scenes in Disney's entire history. So, I'll see you guys next time when we talk about the 5th ever animated movie from Disney, Bambi. So, until then, I'll see you in the next review.
Lesson I'll soon forget, so listen and you won't regret. Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.